Okay, 6.29. Sarvabhutastam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord everywhere. Okay, so true yogi sees Krishna everywhere and sees every being in Krishna. Self-realized person. Who is a self-realized person? Self-realized person is one who has actually experienced that he is the soul, as in this is Brahma Bhuta, not Jiva Bhuta. Jiva Bhuta means that we are stuck in this material world. We are associating with things of this material world. But Brahma Bhuta, he associates with Brahman. It means he actually he's reached the status of knowing, experiencing that he's not the body, that he's spirit soul. So actually, in fact, we read last couple of sessions back that he sees the soul. So he actually sees the soul. So, so he's a self-realized person. So not like person with knowledge. There's a difference between knowledge and gnana and vijnana. So this is a person with vijnana, with experience. Okay, so he sees, literally sees Krishna everywhere. Okay. Purport. A Krishna conscious yogi is the perfect seer because he sees Krishna situated in everyone's heart as super soul. So this is not an exaggeration. This is not some imagination or exaggeration. This is true. That he sees Krishna's Paramatma in everybody's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati. The Lord in his Paramatma feature is situated within both the heart of the dog and that of a Brahmana. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahmana. That is the supreme neutrality of the Lord. That means that he is supremely neutral. The individual soul is also situated in the individual heart, but is not present in all hearts. That is the distinction between the individual soul and the super soul. Okay, we understand this, I guess. One who is not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non-believer. In the Smriti, this is confirmed as follows. Atatattvach matrtvach atma hi paramoharihi. The Lord being the source of all beings is like the mother and the maintainer. As the mother is neutral to all different kinds of children, the Supreme Father or Mother is also neutral. Consequently, the Super Soul is always in every living being. So he is neutral, irrespective of how that, what kind of body it is, what kind of actions are being done in that body. So, for example, even if a body is engaged in, person is engaged in sinful activities, he remains. Super Soul remains. Paramatma remains in the body. Doesn't. So he's not affected by this material situation. Outwardly also, every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. Outwardly also, because we are either in the material world or in the spiritual world. As will be explained in the 7th chapter, the Lord has primarily two energies, the spiritual or superior and the material or inferior. The living entity, although part of the superior energy, is conditioned by the inferior energy. The living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Every living entity is situated in him in one way or another. Which means that either we are in the spiritual energy or we are in the material energy. But we have to be in one of these energies. We can't be outside. And though we are superior energy, we are conditioned by the inferior energy. The yogi sees equally because he sees that all living entities, although in different situations according to the results of fruity work, in all circumstances remain the servants of God. Either they are serving Maya or they are serving Krishna. So yogi sees this equally. So he, and that is the reason why Uttamadhikari, actually, he doesn't even differentiate between devotee and non-devotee because he sees everybody engaged in service of Krishna. So he has to come down to Madhyamadhikari stage to actually differentiate between who needs to be preached to and who doesn't need to be preached to, right? So that distinction to make, he has to come down to Madhyamadhikari. So we can imagine, I mean, what kind of vision they'll be having. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses, and while in the spiritual energy, serves the Supreme Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is a servant of God. This vision of equality is present in a person in Krishna consciousness. Now, we also have to somewhat at least develop this vision, in the sense, at least when we look at people and we first start categorizing them good, bad, ugly, etc., and deal with them according to our vision or the way we look at them, we should first try to stop that and see that everybody is part and parcel of Krishna, and of course, based on the role we are playing, the responsibilities we have, etc., we might have to act differently based on the body also that the person has taken. For example, when we don't go and put our hand into the mouth of a lion, thinking that is jiva, is also soul, part and parcel of Krishna. But for human beings, at least, first thing is that we have to respect everybody, irrespective whether they're Krishna conscious or non-Krishna conscious. And we should not be the cause for anybody's distress, because that is jiva himsa. And if we are engaged in jiva himsa, then we cannot make progress in spiritual life. And if somebody else is giving us pain, then we should try to act on the platform of Trinadapi Sunichena. So either way, we should not attribute names, or we should not, categorize people into good, bad, etc. We have to treat everybody equally. At least we should not have any ill feeling towards anybody because of whatever they said or did or whatever. And we should not be the cause of creating that kind of distinction and being the cause of trouble for somebody. So this attitude we have to develop, because otherwise we can't make progress. If you're always looking at everything with respect to me and my problems and how that person is relating to me, etc., etc., then we will never be able to make progress beyond the bodily platform. So this is very, very important that we actually try to start, this try seeing everything with this vision. Okay, any questions from anybody? Okay, 6.30. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. What amazing situation, amazing position to be in, where we are always in light of Krishna consciousness. We are always there with Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of material nature, but in each and every instance is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, position transcendental even to material liberation. So love of Krishna, transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self-realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna, in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes fulfilled, fully satisfied, fully happy, full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of sight of the devotee. So what is love of Krishna? Love of Krishna is when Krishna becomes everything for the devotee and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. Krishna becomes everything for the devotee and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. That is the transcendental position of love of Krishna. And an intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee exists. And then Krishna is never out of sight of the devotee. Devotee is always seeing Krishna. Emerge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. Stated in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Virochanena Santas Sadaiva Radeshu Vilokayantiyam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunasvarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shama Sundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. So this is very important to understand this. For a pure devotee, his Ishta Devata sits in his heart and not the four-armed Vishnu form, Paramatma. Because here, in his eternal form, because the Lord wants is devotee of Sham Sundara, then Sham Sundara sits in his heart. For pure devotees. That is the reason, and that continues when they go to the spiritual world also, because there's no Paramatma. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. So yogi sees Paramatma, devotee sees Krishna, Ram Sundara or Rama or whatever. That is the reason why Hanuman tears open his chest and he sees Rama and Sita. And that's not some exaggeration or some interpretation or somebody did some painting. No, it's true. That is because the Ishta Devata resides in the heart. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. So this is a yogi who has become a devotee. So he cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. That means all the time he is in Samadhi. See, we should understand when we read these verses, I mean, this how tall the order is, where we are stuck today and where we need to go. We need to have an understanding, right? When we see these verses, literally they are transcendental, which means that nothing to do with this mundane world, material world, nothing to do with any of the experiences we've had so far in this material world or in this life or in previous lives. It is a transcendental experience and it is an experience. It's not some theory that we talk about all this. So, I mean, where we are and where we have to go, what we need to do to get there, we need to really think, am I motivated to, it's so amazing thinking about these things that we have to reach that stage. But if we are stuck because of other things like material attraction, etc., we can see how fallen a state that is. Yeah, so we should just simply engage in work as much as is required, and all our focus energy should be towards achieving all these brilliantly higher stages of life. Hope and pray that we can reach these stages in this life. Okay, any questions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that material liberation is also transcendental state, right? Prabhupada mentions that.
Yeah, it's transcendental. Material liberation is transcendental because you go out of the material world.
Yeah, right. So in that purport, Prabhupada is mentioning that this is transcendental to material liberation also.
Yeah, because it's higher than Mukti, no? It's higher than Brahmajyoti. Because transcendental love, for transcendental love, you have to enter the Vaikuntha planets. Brahmajyoti, you will just be in the spiritual sky. You can't enter spiritual planet. Only
Okay.
when we have personal conception, then we enter the spiritual planet. So it's higher than spiritual sky.
Yes. Yes, Praj. Yes. And so when devotee sees everywhere Lord, so there also he sees his Ishta Devata.
Yes,
everywhere.
yes. I mean, he is like basically he's not lost. He cannot like not see him for a moment. Just we should understand like what his state is. He cannot not see his Ishta Devata even for a moment.
Right.
Right. So yeah, he'll have to see Krishna or who is the Devata everywhere.
Okay, Praj. Thank you.
Okay, 6.31. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajatyekattvamastitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. So Krishna here is saying about that yogi who who's like a devotee basically, right? Who very clearly knows that Supreme Lord and Super Soul are non-different, and that it's Supreme Lord who is expanded as Super Soul. So he will also remain in me, Krishna is saying, in all circumstances. A yogi who is practicing meditation on the Super Soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu with 4 hands. The yogi should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. Krishna in this form of Super Soul is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable Super Souls present in innumerable hearts of living entities. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna conscious person always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation of the Super Soul. So Prabhupada is saying there is no difference because both of them are engaged in service of Krishna in different forms. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. Remains always situated means consciousness is always in Krishna. This is confirmed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami. Nikhilashvapyas avasthasu jivan mukta suchyate. Devotee of the Lord always acting in Krishna consciousness is actually liberated. Yeah. Acting in Krishna consciousness actually automatically liberated. Narda Pancharatra. Dikhaladi anavachinne Krishne cheto vidhayacha tanmayo bhavati kshipram jivo brahmani yojayet. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all-pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. It's so simple to associate with Krishna by concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna. One attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. So all we have to do is just, of course, we should be chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra all the time, but in between also we can just sit and just think about, we can think about, meditate on the Archa Vigraha, because Krishna has accepted that form, and then we associate with Krishna. That's it, transcendental. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice, the highest stage of trance, which means that one can be connected, one is connected with Krishna directly. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas confirm this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Ekopi san bahudha yo vabhati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts. Similarly, in the Smriti Shastra, it is said, Eka eva paro Vishnu sarva vyapi na samshayaha aishwaryad rupamekam cha suryavat bahudeyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere, as the sun appears in many places at once. Okay. Atmopamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham va yati va dukkham sa yogi paramo matah. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being. Cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all activities of the human being. The proprietor of all lands. Okay, this is Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surudam Sarvabhutanam Natva Mam Shanti Gacchati. So one gets Shanti by knowing that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, Krishna is the supreme proprietor, Krishna is the sincerest friend, and then once he gets Shanti, then he gets happiness. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. Means that because we have forgotten Krishna, we engage in punya papa, and therefore we are subjected to these threefold material miseries. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. So this is also very important. Unless we are happy in Krishna consciousness, we will not want to share it, because why would we want to share something which is causing distress for us or which is neutral to us? Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world and is the dearest servant of the Lord. If somebody is not enthusiastic to serve, to preach, please see, this is the easiest way to become dearest to the Lord. Nachatasman manusheshu kaschinme priyakratamaha, 18.69. In other words, the devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. It does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi, interested only in his personal elevation. So yogi in that sense is not different from a pure devotee, but a pure devotee is much, 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 much greater than a yogi because he's working for others' benefit as well. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man toward Krishna consciousness. And see, this trying his best is very important. We should always remember Hanuman and that squirrel. So, to our ability, to the best of our ability, we should try. We should not compare, saying somebody is doing like this, somebody else is doing like this. So we should not compare. We should understand what our strengths are, what our limitations are, and we should sincerely engage. Somebody might be doing better than us, more than us. That is just their capability, and we can't. We don't have to compare ourselves with somebody else and then feel, you know, discouraged. Okay. Question here. Are material modes playing on devotees, especially when serving Krishna? No, especially when not serving Krishna, but when serving Krishna, if we are not fully engaged, fully, like if you are not deep dive, if you are not completely involved in the service, then we will still be under the influence of modes, because bhakti is also performed under modes, sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, till we reach the Shuddha Sattva stage. So many times we see devotees demonstrating their modes when we are engaged in bhakti, and then which is why we should look at everybody with respect. We should not say, "Arey, what is this? This person is chanting Hare Krishna and is acting in the mode of ignorance." We should not disrespect anybody. It happens. Till we become purified, we will be doing bhakti also in different modes. Okay. Okay, anybody has any questions, kindly interrupt. 6.33 Arjuna Vacha. Yoyam yogastvaya prokta samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sitim stiram. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me. For the mind is restless and unsteady, unendurable, which means that I cannot carry on doing it. Seems very impractical. System of mysticism, yoga, described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the word Suchau Desha and ending with Yogi Paramaha, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self-realization even by simple practical means. And what to speak of this difficult yoga system which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, the selection of place, detachment of mind from material engagements. Prabhupada is saying even though bhakti is so simple, people are not serious about self-realization. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow the system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. Favorably endowed in many ways. I mean, he was a great archer, great personality, great family background, etc., etc., etc. But he still thought it was not practical. He belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior, had great longevity, and above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now, yet he refused to accept the system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so-called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They're completely in ignorance of the desired goal. Complacent means self-satisfied, smug. So they're happy with whatever they're doing, but they're simply wasting their time because they don't even know what their goal is and they definitely cannot achieve it. So this is impractical. Sanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad dhrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayor ivasu dushkaram. Krishna is asking one question. Is Krishna in all the universes same? Is he called Krishna only in all universes? Does it look same? Okay, we'll answer that at the end. Please remind me. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Mind is what? Restless, not there on one platform for a moment, on one topic for a moment. Just keeps jumping from here to there to somewhere else. Restless, turbulent, just restless, and if simply without much noise going from one place to another, that's okay, but it is turbulent. It also makes too much of noise. Obstinate, very, very obstinate, very can't, very strong minded, they say, na? Very obstinate, very, what is another word for obstinate? Stubborn. Stubborn and very strong. Oh Krishna, and to subdue it, I think it's more difficult than controlling the wind. The wind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence. Mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence. Although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. Indriyan paranyahur indriyapya panamanaha manasastu parabuddhi yo buddhe paratastu saha. So intelligence is supposed to be higher than the mind, and intelligence is supposed to control the mind. But the mind is so strong and obstinate that it overcomes intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy. But ultimately, no worldly man can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging mind. So Prabhupada is saying artificially we might seem to appear to be treating friend and enemy equally, but it's not possible really. because we'll fall from that artificial position and our real feeling will come out, because it's like more difficult than controlling the raging wind. Vedic literature, it is said, Atmanam Rathim Vidhi Shariram Rathamevacha Buddhim tu Sarathim Vidhi Mana Pragraham Evacha Indriyani Hayan Ahur Vishayam Steshu Kocharan Atmendriya Mano Yuktam Bhoktetyahur Manishinaha. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, intelligence is the driver, mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. So we should understand this is just like the body is just like a car. We as the Atma, we are the passenger. Our intelligence is the driver. So the driver has to drive the car in the right direction based on what the individual is saying. So first individual is important. Individual say, okay, take left. Then the driver is the intelligence should take left. And steering wheel is the mind. And senses are the horses. Now what happens is mind will just say, okay, intelligence is saying take left. Individual is saying take left. Intelligence is, trying to move the steering wheel to the left, but the steering wheel simply moves to the right. Just think how absurd it is. And this is what our situation is. If the mind is not under control, this is what happens. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. This is the most important thing. Without this, we will not be able to control the mind. The method prescribed is Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. If there are engagements to agitate the mind, then the mind will continue to get agitated. When we are fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, there is no engagement which agitates the mind. So if somebody thinks that, okay, let me be in the middle of all agitations and control the mind, it will be very difficult. Of course, we should still practice that. But if 100 out of 100 situations are agitating the mind, it's very difficult. Say maybe 10 out of 100 are agitating, then we can still try to control in those 10 situations. So which means that practically we should reduce the amount of material engagements in the sense where we are very involved in that material activity. Like, for example, not like, we should we go to the market, we get stuff, etc. But we should just do it as a matter of duty, and also with the view of, okay, I'm doing all this for Krishna's family. Right, but we should not be engaged in material activities like sitting and watching some stuff on TV, going for movie, trying to eat food outside, etc., etc. And then obviously, then going and meeting relatives, then some gossip will start, then something will happen, then the mind will get agitated, or you're in touch with some non-devotee, then he or she will say something, and then it agitates the mind. So we should keep away from all those situations which agitate the mind. And that is possible. The more and more we engage in Krishna's service directly, then we have less time to engage in all this other nonsense, and it will automatically reduce the agitations of the mind. Yeah, I think we'll stop here because Krishna then answers. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? If there are any questions to this topic, otherwise I'll answer Krishna's question. Any no questions? Okay. Okay, so Krishna is asking if is Krishna in all the universe? Yes. Is Krishna in all the universe same? Yes, he's the same. Is he called Krishna only? Yes, he's called Krishna only. Does he look same as we see here in temples and scripture books? Okay. So seeing Krishna accepts the form that a devotee presents. So if Prabhupada has accepted some painting as saying this is okay, the Krishna looks like this, then Krishna looks like that. As in, Krishna is happy to take that form. Um, and Krishna also has his own form. And see, Krishna is what we cannot really understand Krishna. He look to us the way we want him to look. It's the beauty about Krishna. So he's inconceivable. Yes, so he looks as we see him here in temples and scripture books as well. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna. How are material modes in bhakti and while not doing bhakti are different? No, material modes are not different. They are the same. Just that somebody in the mode of passion will engage in bhakti also in the mode of passion. So it's like, Hari, do this, like tensed and this and that. They will also continue to be like that in bhakti initially. And then over a period of time, when as we practice chant Hare Krishna, mind gets, we get more purified. Slowly we move away from the modes, or we keep transcend. We go from ignorance to passion to goodness. Then some aspects of our behavior might become purified, might come to sattva guna. Some others might still remain. So this is the whole process of anartha nivritti. So anarthas have to go, and it takes time. And till then we will behave like we are, both materially and spiritually, right? And then that is the reason why Cheto Darpana Marjanam has to happen, cleansing has to happen. And eventually we have to come to Vishuddha Sattva. Vishuddha Sattva, actually, it is beyond material goodness. It's beyond material goodness. Vishuddha Sattva basically means that only engaged in Krishna consciousness, Krishna Bhakti. And when I say only engaging, of course, directly only engaging. Also, if we are still engaged in material activities, we should, we should at least 50-55 bring it to a close so that we can engage completely in Krishna service. Okay, any other questions? Anybody? Okay, we'll close here. Panchakalpatarupishcha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo. Okay. How to control the mind from being agitated when you're surrounded by non-devotees and materialistic people? All actions of others are devoid of bhakti, and it's a real struggle. Yes. Okay. Okay. Let me stop the recording, or maybe it's okay. Okay. How to control the mind from being agitated? See, we should understand. Okay, this is going to take some time, this answer, but see, what is the criteria for us to go back to Krishna? The criteria for us to go back to Krishna is that we should come to the spiritual platform. That means that first thing, at the bare minimum, we have to understand that I am not this body. Okay, and then that is Brahmabhuta stage, and then Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Then we engage in pure devotional service. Then we develop love for Krishna. Then we can go out of this material world. Now, for reaching the Brahmabhuta stage, please understand, each of us have our own paths. Now, this is very usually devotees look at their own situations and always think, why me? Why am I having to go through all this difficulty? And why do I see so many other devotee friends of mine and they're so happy and they're getting all the support that they require for them to make progress in bhakti, which is not completely true at all, right? Because every person, if he's sincere, so this is a huge caveat I'm putting here. If one person is sincere, if a devotee is sincere, he wants to reach Krishna in this life, and he is ready to take up any kind of take on any kind of problems, Krishna will facilitate his or her purification. Okay. See, please understand one thing. If we are surrendered to Krishna, how much time does it take for Krishna to fix our problem? Does it take him any time at all? As in, can it just simply happen in a instance? Instantly we can get rid of all our problems. But then we need to think, saying that, okay, either I have faith in Krishna that he can fix my situation very easily, or I don't have faith in Krishna. Okay, if I don't have faith in Krishna, then I have to develop faith in Krishna, because the reality is he can fix anything, very easily. So if he's not fixing our situation, then what could be the reason? Either he's a sadist, he wants us to suffer, which he is not. He's Bhakta Vatsala. He loves his devotees. He cares for his devotees. So if he's not a sadist, then why is he still not removing my problem? Why is he putting me in all this trouble? And the answer is very, very simple, but really revealing Krishna. Right? Because this is the most effective way that we will come to Brahmabhuta stage. We have to become pure. Okay. If you have to become pure, and Krishna knows what are our anarthas, what are our deep anarthas, and what situations will actually help us get over it. So when we look at our own situation, first thing that has to come to our mind, first thing is acceptance of the situation. That this question itself is why this situation is like this has to go off, because that underlies a lack of faith. That shows lack of faith in Krishna. Right? So first thing is we should have faith in Krishna, that Krishna will do the best for us. And when we look at our situation and say, okay, so this, let me think about it. So why Krishna wants me to go through this? Okay, this is for my best, for my welfare. Oh, okay, so this is what it looks like. This is my route for purification, so that I can achieve perfection in this life. So we look at our situation and we accept it first. Think, okay, I'm not fighting my situation. Now, if I am not fighting my situation, then what is the question about getting bothered by other people around us or a situation by us around us? Then we will simply accept it, and then we'll just engage ourselves in bhakti as much as Krishna allows us to engage in. See, and one more thing we should understand, like the more trouble we are in, this is like gopis. We develop a stronger bond with Krishna. The more difficulty we are in, the more closer we will become to Krishna. Of course, and that is the reason why Shastra says so much of emphasis on strong association. Because if we have weak association, then everybody will reflect our thoughts, saying that, yes, I feel so bad that, you're having to go through all this. But that is not true. As in, that's not the way to look at the situation. The way to look at the situation is saying that, oh, Krishna is being so merciful to you. Of course, see, when it's always very easy to look back and then say, like whatever, 10 years, 20 years from now, you might look back at your life and say, oh, wow, I mean, this is amazing. I couldn't even remotely think that this is all being done because I could come to this amazing stage of bhakti. So we will look at it here, later in our life and thank Krishna, saying that, wow, Krishna, I mean, I couldn't think about this way at all. And so Krishna is doing us a big favor. So please understand that, especially if you are sincere. I'm underlying this, like, till the page scratches, I'm underlying, because if we are not sincere, then it's just simply our karma phala. Okay, we can't do anything about it. We have to just suffer. But if we are sincere, Krishna is manipulating it in ways we cannot see. Okay, but in the most effective way for us, in a way that we will actually come so closer to him that maybe there are other senior people who have been in the system for long, etc., etc., etc. We might get more closer to Krishna than any of them, and that's what we want, right? So why don't we look at our situations as actually helping us to get closer to Krishna than looking at it as being detrimental? Now you might say, okay, people are devoid of bhakti. Yes, so which means that then, I should feel more separation from Krishna. I should feel like Krishna, I want to serve you more. Intensely, internally we can serve. See, here we are seeing transcendence doesn't mean external activities. Transcendence means internal activities. I had shared that, those statements about how to see the soul, right? See, it is about being inward. Bhakti doesn't have to be outward, right? Nobody can prevent you or take away what you are thinking in your mind. Nobody can do that. How you are thinking about Krishna, how you are serving Krishna in your mind, nobody can change it. And it is the deepest, actually. I mean, most of our activities today are outward. Like, we are trying to engage in physical activities, but mental activities are far superior than physical activities. Manasika puja, right? So nobody can stop you from doing that. And in fact, the other thing that I told you, right? Whenever we look at non-devotees, whether they're family, whether they're, two things I always recommend. First is look at them with compassion, not with contempt, not with anger, not being upset at them. Look at them with compassion, saying, oh, feel so sad for them, right? That they are no way closer to Krishna Bhakti and they're wasting their life. And in that compassion, we should pray to Krishna. Krishna, please shower your mercy on these people. Right, and it's genuinely we should feel like, these people should get mercy, right? So I mean, there are multiple ways to look at this, which all of them point to only one direction, saying that it is Krishna's great mercy on us. And I'm saying all this because I have my own problems that I deal with, and I keep looking at Shastra, trying to understand, think about these things, right? And it is life changing. I'm telling you. I mean, like simple. I read one statement saying that few devotees are with Krishna all the time and while chanting. He said, like, okay. I mean, whatever it is, nobody can prevent me from doing this. Nobody can prevent me from being with the Lord all the time by just chanting. It's just my lack of yeah. I mean, it's just my lack of good sadhana that I'm not able to do that. Okay, let me focus. And I'll tell you one more thing. If suppose say you have only 2 hours in 24 hours, to really do quality devotional service, just think how condensed it will be, like, condensed milk, like, what is that? I don't know, whatever, right? You boil milk and it becomes so thick. So the 2 hours with Krishna in chanting can make up for like 22 hours of non-Krishna consciousness, or all the struggle that you have to go through in the rest of the day. And be inward, Mataji. I'm telling you, I'm saying it seems very difficult, but it can be done. Just we have to be inward. Whatever happens, you just every time think, saying that, okay, Krishna wants me to go through this. Okay, Krishna wants me to go through this situation. Okay, Trinada Pisunichena. He wants me to build on this. He wants me to come to this stage. Just keep thinking that everything is actually favorable to us. And anyway, yeah, because we can't run away from our situations, right? So we better accept them and look at how they can help us to progress closer to Krishna. Anyway, I mean, it's a very short answer I've given, but I'm saying it's inconceivable mercy of the Lord. Just remember that much, right? And that's how I deal with my own life situation. So I can say that with that conviction, and I'm not simply theoretically telling this, right? So I apply it in my life, or I at least try to
Yes,
apply it in my
Bhagavad.
life.
Yes, very helpful and wonderful answer you've given. I'll surely follow. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mataji. Okay. Okay, so I think we'll end. We are already at 9:20. Ancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.